Qapla!
I'm going to take this opportunity, however, to suggest that we all hail heroic. Oh, that's all I'm saying.
Forgive me, Doctor. I'm receiving a number of distress calls. I don't doubt it.
Y'all remember to kiss your waitresses. Have a mighty fine night.
You come in peace, surrender or be destroyed. Here to make war, we surrender.
When the appointed hour arrives, the Marauders will deactivate their cloaking devices and begin transporting Klingon shock troops directly to the landing zone.
Landing zone? Where? Tell me.
Why not? Your feeble weapons will be useless against us. We will kill all your males and take your females to mate with.
All right. Now the Federation's taking over, whether you like it or not. You people, you've been running this planet like a piecework planet. From now on, it's gonna be under one roof. You're gonna run it like a business. That means you're gonna make a profit.
Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before or since. Tall words, proudly saying, "We the people."
Hi, I'm Nicole DeBoer. I played Lieutenant Ezri Dax on DS9, and I welcome you to Bird O' Prey 5 channel. Hail Karoga.
Hello world, it's Bird O' Prey 5, Qapla, and welcome to Deep Space Nine Wednesday for April 28th, 2021. That's it. There's only 2 more days left in April. Pay your mortgage, people, or whatever else you got to do by the end of the month. Hey, welcome. Thank you, John Araki, for the $1 super chat. Greatly appreciated. Unfortunately, it was not Kissing Dax. It was about as far from Kissing Dax as you can get. The laser eye bird of prey. But, and by bird, I mean me. Yeah. But thank you nonetheless. So welcome everybody. And yes, at 12:49 p.m., Josh Street, who I believe was first in the chat, says, "Is this a real stream, Bird of Prey? No thumbnail, just YouTube 3 dots." Yeah, unfortunately, once again, YouTube screwed me with the thumbnail. I should have double checked, but it looked like it was working, but I had the stream unlisted. As soon as I put the stream public, the thumbnail disappeared and I didn't go back and recheck it until I saw that message. So thank you. I did fix the thumbnail before we went live, and I probably wouldn't have thought to even check had Josh Street not written that. Josh Street says, "Looks like Bird of Prey, you're going to do your Game of Thrones live reaction streams again when HBO airs House of Dragons next year. It's the Dance of Dragons base series." I honestly don't know, Josh Street. I really don't think anybody gives a shit anymore about Game of Thrones, me included. And Josh Street says, "Bird of Prey, you're over 3 hours late as of this comment." No, I was not late. 54 point, excuse me. Let me cough for a second. Okay, I did that off camera. 54.5 Access Radio says there are 3 dots. Indeed there were. Josh Street says, "No, there's only 1 rectangle." Wow. Josh Street says, "We want DS9. We want DS9 over and over again." And 54.5 Access Radio says there is 1 rectangle with 3 dots. And Life with Matthew has become a member. Thank you so much of Life with Matthew becoming a Karogan orphan. He joins Resolute Germ as our newest Karogan orphan. I appreciate you guys coming on board as channel members. And yes, for those who were not here, we do have 2 new levels, as I am doing away with Subscribe Star. We have a new entry level of Krogan Orphan, and we have a royalty level that's just too stupid, ridiculous. Nobody is expected to ever purchase. But since YouTube allowed it, why not? Why not have it level of Kroga royalty for those who might win the lottery or such? But so thank you, Life with Matthew. Let's see, what do we got? Josh says now Bird of Prey is 4 hours late. How does one get? No, you know what? That doesn't even matter. I started 4 minutes early at 4:01 p.m. Josh says there is one Defiant. That is actually there's 2. Oh, not true. Not true. Actually, there's more than 2 because there was Defiant in the TOS era, Defiant in Enterprise. Yeah, there's quite a few Defiants. The Defiant in the Mirror Universe. Josh Reed says, I wonder when Anti-Trekker is going to start up and finish Matthew Taser face Shortshanks and Tilly trying to confused well is bend over for him. What? I don't understand what's going on there. And Loki! Thank you, Loki, for either joining or rejoining as a Krogan citizen. Greatly appreciated. Loki's Mornings of Mischief. Qapla, brother. How is Valhalla today? And not that I don't know how much it has to do with Valhalla, but I was gifted, thank you, a copy of Valheim, and I did open it today and just get the very basics. I learned that I can punch and kick trees, and apparently some smaller trees break up when you punch and kick them. And I was able to fight some monsters. And we got Kissing Dax. John D donated $2 and says, get those Krogan orphans something to eat for once. And got us Kissing Dax. Thank you so much, John D. And the Krogan orphans will get extra gruel tonight, Mamo Pray. Make sure I put a little extra rice in the gruel tonight for the orphans. No, you don't have to cook for the orphans. We'll just we'll order it. We'll order it from Uber Gruel. Uber Gruel. 47 Yorktown says, rest in peace. Rip Michael Collins. Yes, indeed, Michael Collins, 90 years old, passed away today. He was the 3rd man on the original Apollo 11 mission. He was the man who stayed in the orbiter while Buzz and Neil landed on the moon. This makes Buzz Aldrin the one surviving member left of the original Apollo 11 crew. And, I will take the moment to say we best wishes to a true American hero, Michael Collins. Neil Armstrong preceded him in death. Buzz, I don't know how well he's doing, but he's still alive. And if you want to see a slightly dramatized version of these people, do check out the television show For All Mankind on Apple TV, which is a wonderful series. And unfortunately, if it was on anything other than Apple TV, it would be making lots of headlines. And Loki's Mornings of Mischief donated $10 through Super Chat. Says, just because. Take care, brother. Qapla Loki. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. Greatly appreciated. Hail to Valhalla, and the fires always burn brightly. I guess. Yes, greatly appreciated. So Dan23 says who? Yes, Michael Collins, an original Apollo 11 astronaut. Josh Street says, Dan23, you're talking about Michael Collins. Yes, the third guy on Apollo 11, the one that didn't get to walk on the moon. And Josh Street says, Sassy B, good girl, and Wake Bird of Prey with a good old bite to the butt. No, first off, Deej is the guy who gets bit by dogs. And even that dog had the good sense not to bite Deej in the ass. Only on the leg. John Street says, remember, if you want Sleeping Bird of Prey to stay awake and to read your Bird of Prey comments, put at Bird of Prey, so Sleeping Bird of Prey will stay awake and read your at Bird of Prey 5 comment. I will do my best to read all comments that have at Bird of Prey 5 in them. I don't think I'm in danger of falling asleep during the stream, but you never know. And Joshua says, if you want to watch along with Bird of Prey, you can do so in the Bird screening room, only while Bird of Prey is streaming the episode or movie at https://www.birdofprey5.com/sr. And yes, that is the link to the screening room. You can see it right below the big Bird of Prey 5 on the YouTube video. You go to that link in a different browser or a different tab and keep YouTube open so you can hear both me and you can hear and watch the episode. Also, if you have your own copy of the episode on DVD, or you have Amazon Prime Video, or Hulu, or Netflix, or Paramount Plus, you can watch Deep Space Nine there as well. Today we are watching Season 5, Episode 7, Let He Who Is Without Sin... And this is the episode where Worf and Jadzia are going to take a romantic getaway to Risa, and then Leeta and Dr. Bashir tag along, and then Quark tags along. So, yeah. And thank you, Arabic Sonder, for the $1 super chat. Greatly appreciated. This is, I'll be honest, I don't know if this is in the 50% best DS9 episodes. I'd say it's pretty close to the mediocre middle mark of it's not the worst episode by far. It's much better than a bad episode, but it's also not a standout great episode like last week's was, or most of season 5 has been so far. And then next week is Things Past, which is an Odo-centric episode where they find somehow they go back in time, even though it's in Odo's mind, where Odo is just becomes just gets started work on the station, and it turns out that he had a part in the execution of Bajoran prisoners he'd rather forget about. So yeah, next week is a pretty powerful episode, and we'll go from there. Actress is Bird of Prey to make up less than 15 minutes. What? Josh reads 15 minutes until Bird of Prey puts in his 30-minute intro. It's a 2.5 minute intro. Copperman says Qapla, Bird of Prey. I think I got it right this time. You did. Qapla, Copperman. I think it's Copperman. I think I'm pronouncing it right. And he says Twitter's a cesspool. Yes, it is. The Catman D.D. Myers says good afternoon and howdy to Josh Street. Copperman says Twitter come, Twitter go. And Copperman says what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens on Twitter goes everywhere. The Random Menace, greetings from the future, sinners. Greetings, Random Menace. Why are you calling us sinners? Do you have? Does the rapture happen? Is that a hint? John Araki says breaking rocks in the hot sun. Bird fought the law and the law won. fought the law, and the law won. Dee Dee Myers says, Bird of Prey, Qapla, how's the family doing? We're doing okay, Dee Dee. Thank you for asking. And Dee Dee says, howdy to the random menace. John DeMarco says, greetings all. Dee Dee says, hi to John Araki. Josh Reed says, Bird of Prey, you're late for the last time. We have decided to send you to prison, to the prison world of Rura Pente, to work 1 year before you can return. Well, that's just, I might as well just kill me now. John Araki says, Qapla, John Araki. Josh Reed says, you can do so over at Bird Screening Room. Yes, head to the screening room. There's the address again. John Araki says, got Birdicus and Dagnabbit. Wow. Rock Solid Production says, hashtag Birds Late, hashtag Lato Prey, hashtag Free Jeaner, hashtag pound sign, hashtag Birds Polling. Yes, Rock Solid gave me some advice yesterday on the member stream to do some regular polling on the community tab. So I did a poll today on what's your favorite Trek series. So if you get a chance, head over to the community section of my channel and vote in the poll. It's non-binding. I don't know what I'll do with the answers, but whatever. It gets people together and gets people talking. John Araki says, Dear Twitch, Bird of Prey continues to use misleading thumbnails. Please cancel. Thanks. The ANTI Trekker. There's nothing misleading about this thumbnail. Rockstar Productions says, did Bird of Prey turn his head when he coughed? Wouldn't you like to know? Kadidi says hello to Rock Solid and Life with Matthew. Josh Reed says hi to Matthew Taserface. When did Matthew? Oh, Matthew Taserface Short Shanks. I don't know what's going on here. Life with Matthew says yes, I've made the transition from Subscribestar to YouTube as you phase it out. And Qapla, thank you, Life with Matthew. But thank you again, Loki, also for becoming a Krogan citizen. Life with Matthew says howdy to Dee Dee. Dee Dee says good afternoon to Loki. Hail to Loki. Rock Solids is only 111 away from 13,000. Woot woot. I uploaded 2 videos yesterday, and to Bird of Prey's disbelief, my second video did much better than the first upload yesterday. I'm not surprised, but I feel like uploading the second video probably hurt your first video. That was my theory, where had you waited to upload your second video, you would have had 2 good videos instead of 1 good video. But I know we have disagreements in that, and there's no way to prove who's right. Actor says, you can buy your way to royalty. Preposterous. I long for the days when you had to seduce a blue-blooded wrench or conquer a kingdom. And John DeMarco says, hashtag Uber for the orphans. There was Loki's super chat. Thank you again, Loki. Dee Dee says, John DeMarco, howdy and good afternoon. John DeMarco says hello to Dee Dee. And Mako says, hail Karoga. Hail Karoga, Mako. Actress says, oh, this is a sexy episode. Yes, we got Jadzia and Leeta in bathing suit attire, if I recall. Dee Dee says howdy to Mako. Brandon Menace says, I really like this episode. Dee Dee Myers says, Bird of Prey, you're welcome. Thank you again. Actress says, The Rapture. Oh, man, I'll need to search for a priest to confess years of sin. What a bother. You better hurry. It's only a few hours if Yosef is ahead of us. John Araki says, breaking news. Krogan Demigod and Krogan Trans Women membership tiers are now unlocked. Rock Solid says, hashtag vote for DS9. Hashtag TOS is trash. That is fighting words, sir. John Araki says, breaking news. Krogan royalty membership has been renamed to Krogan AOC tier. John Aragi says hashtag stay sassy and hashtag free Apu, trying to get me into a rant about Apu or The Simpsons. I'm not going to buy it today. I am so on the verge of ranting about something else, but we will do our best to save that for either a separate video or Friday. John Aragi says hashtag free Gina. And Rock Solid says first video had 300 views. Second had 3,000 views. Good for you. Congrats. And John DeMarco says the joke's on Rock Solid. TOS has a commanding lead. It certainly does. In fact, it has a majority. Rock Solid says hail to Matt Groening. Wow. He probably isn't that bad a guy, but I think he has given up on The Simpsons and turned over day-to-day control to, my theory is, a team of lizard people from Disney. I have no proof. That's just my guess. And yes, John Rocky, cancel Hillrom. Okay, so let's go ahead and get us started on watching this episode. Head on over to the screening room now, or bring up your own copy of the episode. Again, we're watching season 5, episode 7. Let he who is without sin. I will count down for in a few seconds, and we will get the episode started. If you cannot watch the episode on your own and you cannot get to the screening room, then on the YouTube page will be a screenshot once every 10 seconds or so. So you have some idea what's going on in the episode as I talk about what's going on in the episode. And John Aragi with hashtag ban menthol. Yeah, I know. So the government wants to ban methanol. What's in cigarettes? Menthol. The government wants to ban menthol because it affects communities of color more than white people. So they get it banned because their lives are more important than, I mean, if cigarettes are that deadly, then you got to ban them all. But you're choosing not to ban. It's not everything with menthol. There is that in throat lozenges. Yeah, no, but cigarettes, methanol, cigarettes, whatever it is, menthol. Yeah, so they're banning menthol cigarettes because people of color. Yeah, but it's fine. You can be in Vicks. You're not supposed to smoke it because apparently because it affects communities of color more than white communities. So it's perfectly fine to keep smoking, just not if it's menthol. Also today, that everybody should be scared. If not scared, certainly we should be shocked and dismayed. The Justice Department sent the FBI to raid Rudy Giuliani's offices and seized his computers and electronic devices. And they damn well know that as an attorney, almost everything on Rudy Giuliani's computers is privileged information. And it is beyond any leap of logic that there should be any reason that they need to, the FBI needs to raid Rudy Giuliani's files. I mean, talk about using FBI for political gain. There's no more clear-cut example, textbook example. It's just scary. It is scary. So that's another thing that happened today while we were all worried about the temperatures or whatever else we were not caring about, trying to get back out and argue over masks actual shit was going down. But this is not that stream. This is Deep Space Nine. So I'm going to go ahead and start counting down, and we will start watching the episode. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. And we got Morn coming down the stairs with a flower. Who's the lucky gal? Oh, looks like a random Starfleet woman. It looks like she's into Morn. She gives them a kiss on the cheek, and they go off. And Cisco is amazed. And Odo says, what do you think of the O'Brien's plan to name the baby Sean? Oh, in Bajoran, Sean means swamp. He says, do they know that? He says, somebody should tell them. And now Jadzia comes, and she's having some neck pain. It's just a muscle pull, she says. He says, what's that, the 8th muscle pull this month? Odo says, it's been 7 muscle pulls, 2 contusions, and 3 cracked ribs. The only person who spent more time in the infirmary is Worf. No, Cisco says, is there any way the two of you could make love, she says, without injuring yourselves? She says, interspecies romance have danger. That's part of the fun. She says, maybe we'll have better luck on Risa. Cisco said, Risa? I thought you guys were going to Earth. Said, that was his suggestion. She changed his mind. Odo says, from what he hears, makes the Bajan Bass look like a monastery. They're all laughing about Risa. Cisco can't believe she convinced Worf to go to a pleasure planet. Rock Solid says, bird of prey, all those injuries to Jadzia, I'd kiss them all to make them better. And Worf comes and orders his prune juice from the replicator. She calls him over. He's very formal, commander, constable. Says, oh, Dax said you're going to Risa. And she's like, did she? She says it's no secret. And Worf says, apparently not. Worf says he's looking forward to spending time alone with Commander Dax, not to going to Risa. They have much to discuss. Cisco says, about what? And Worf says, it's a private matter. Dax says Worf's upset that she had lunch with Captain Brodet. And he says his skull is transparent. She says, if we couldn't see his brain, would you feel better? And he says, it's not appropriate to have lunch with a man while we're together. He's like, he does trust her. He does not trust Captain Brodet. Captain Brodet is one of those great characters we hear about but never see. The Random Menace is bird of prey. They are going to Risa, not Razor. Dee Dee Myers is bird of prey. There's no sound in the screening room. Dee Dee's just put the volume up. There's a volume control in the bottom left next to the pause button. Just bring it up. There's definitely volume. If you're not hearing it, refresh the tab or the window. So Bashir and Leeta, they were talking it over, and they'd like to come along to Risa too. And she said, "Oh, Jadzia says we actually want to spend time alone." And she's like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll leave you alone once we get to Risa. You won't even see us." And Jadzia says, "I guess there's no harm in sharing a runabout." Worf reluctantly says, "Okay." And Bashir goes to tap Worf on the back, and Worf says, "Don't hug me." And Worf is still saying, "We still have much to discuss." Josh treats his bird of prey. Is it true what they say happens on Risa stays on Risa? I don't know. So Sisko says he wishes he was going with them. Dax and him had great times on Risa before. And that's not what Worf wants to hear. And there's Quark waiting at the runabout. He's like, it's about time you guys got here. We were waiting an hour. And Leeta says he wouldn't give her time off unless she promised to take him with him. Quark says he's never been to Risa. This seems like a perfect time. Leeta is apologizing, and Bashir is hoping this isn't a problem. Worf is mad at Jadzia. She's like, I know, we have much to discuss. Roxanne says Sisko wants a three-way with Jadzia and Worf. Freak. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Da do 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 do. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I was saying Risa. Risa. I'm saying it right. Stop telling me I know it's not razor. I'm not saying razor. It might be saying riser, but it's ricer. Risa. Tequilian tea for Bashir, Ractagino for Jadzia, and a prune juice for Worf. And Jadzia says, you're on vacation, you don't have to serve us. And Leeta says, that's okay. And Quark says he ordered a snail juice. She says, get it yourself, he's on vacation. Leeta says, have you ever noticed how all the stars looked the same? Worf looks at her funny. And Quark comes out, and Worf says, tell the Ferengi to return to his cabin. And he says, again, tell the Ferengi to return to his cabin now. And Quark says, it's barely a cabin. He's like, what's he going to do? Turn around and take me home? Ruin everybody's vacation? And Worf is calling his bluff. He's like, okay, I'll go. But I have a little present for you, everybody. He's got the statues. The whatever. No statue for Worf. A Horgon. Horizon Fertilian symbol. Displaying one to locals indicates you're seeking Jamaharan. Leeta doesn't know what Jamaharan is. How did she not know? The Leeta's and Bashir's statues like each other. Quark says he's going to be sick, and Worf gets mad. He says, she's going to go change into something more comfortable. You don't think I'm going to beam into Risa dressed in my uniform, do you? And Leeta says, that's a good idea. She's going to go change too. So Worf is the only one flying the shuttle. Runabout, because Bashir is also going to change. Where is there room in the back of the runabout for 4 separate people to change their clothes at one time? Oh. Yeah, Bashir says, when in Rome. Geeks Enjoy Neurotica gave my singing an 8 out of 10. Thank you. And Worf does beam down in his Starfleet uniform. Quark is time to test out his statues. She's like, you seek Jamaharon. He says, I seek whatever you've got. Says, all that's ours is yours. He says he'll take it as he puts his arms out, and they walk him away. And Jadzia says, aren't you uncomfortable in this uniform? Worf says, no, Starfleet uniforms are designed for comfort, even the most extreme environments. She says, isn't this beautiful? And Worf says, this is artificially maintained paradise, maintained by the most elaborate weather control system. In its natural state, Risa's rain-soaked jungle. And he says, he didn't come here to admire the scenery. And then Dax takes off the bottom to her bathing suit. It's still a one-piece bathing suit. And then Worf says, Jadzia says, the scenery has improved, huh? Yeah, Worf doesn't want to leave so soon now. And it says they encountered a protostar cluster commanding the Defiant. It was swirling clouds of color. It was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Until now. Look at that Worf. Jadzia says she's got to take him on vacation more often. Hey, and somebody recognizes Dax. It's a woman. Mirantis. She was wondering if she was still here. She's like, not only am I still here, she's been promoted. She's chief facilitator. What does that mean exactly? She's a friend of Curzon. Oh, they spent a lot of time together, if you know what they mean. He said she spent a lot of time until he killed her. Death by Jamaharon. She says, I suppose there are worse ways to go. Jadzia says, yep, he died happy. She said he died, he was such a sweet old man. And Worf is like, I'll take your word for it. She's like, oh, it's so good to see you, Dax. Your new host is so attractive. She's like, oh, Risa's been very kind to me. And she said she'd show him around, and Worf said, maybe later. She said, of course, all that's ours is yours. Worf says, we have everything we need. Rock Solid says, bird of prey, bird. They're going back to change. 3 of them going to get naked together. Bow, chicka, wow. No! The Random Menace says, bird of prey, you understand that nudity is not a problem in the future, nor in Europe. It is for some of them. Rock Solid says, it's called Sarang. Worf says, if you were a Klingon woman, we'd already be married. Jadzia says, in case you notice, I'm not a Klingon woman. And he says, I've been loyal to you. I expect you to be loyal to me. She says, I know you can't run my life. She's going to have a good big glass of Icoberry juice. Worf says, that's a mistake. You're allergic to Icoberry juice. It makes her spots itch. She's like, but she likes the taste. He's like, fine, and have as much as you want. But it's still a mistake. And Jadzia says it's her mistake to make. He says, now go into the room and put on your bathing suit so we can swim in the lagoon. And Worf says, as you wish. And he's holding the bathing suit Jadzia brought for him. It's a little gold Speedo. And he says, enter. And some random dude comes in. He's like, he's Pascal Fullerton. He's a chairman of the Essentialist movement. Worf is not familiar with them. They're dedicated to restoring the moral and cultural traditions of the Federation. And he's like, maybe you'd want to hear more on Risa. He's like, what better place? This world revels in self-indulgence that made... They intend to shut down Risa. So, basically, this guy's like, let's make the Federation great again by shutting down Risa. He's reading the essays from this guy. Dax says, what's disturbing is you're still wearing your uniform. Worf says it wouldn't hurt you to read this. Oh, somebody's getting a foot massage. Leeta saying, truth is not everyone can be a Dabo girl. You have to be able to calculate odds in your head very quickly. And you need a very subtle wrist. And she's Dabo. She's talking to some random Ryzen dude. And Worf comes in and sees Leeta with some guy. And she says, do you want to join us? We're just about to take a soak. And Worf is disgusted. And Jadzia pulls Worf out of there. He doesn't understand. Val, the screening room link is bertopray5.com/SR. Yeah, we just don't mention that other word on YouTube. They don't like it. Nothing personal. I will put in the link to the screening room. So they're having a rally on Risa. Now Julian's with some other woman. He's like, why are he and Leeta not together? Jadzia says he doesn't know. She doesn't know, but she's sure there's a reasonable explanation. Worf says, no, it's a bad influence on people. And she's asked, are you here for the show? She finds Mr. Fullerton very entertaining. And Brandon Wolfe with a $5 super chat. Qapla, Brandon. Says, Bird of Prey Qapla. Bird of Prey Qapla. I have been going through DS9 for the 5th time and on the 4th season. We all need a vacation. Cheers. Thank you so much, Brandon. Yes, I've probably been through DS9 at least as many times. Oh. It's like, take a good look. I can only imagine what you must think of me. A middle-aged, wondrous academic, sitting under hot Rysian suns, telling people what they don't want to hear. But you know what I see when I look at you? Children. Pampered, spoiled children. For some reason, the citizens of the Federation have come to believe that they're entitled to lives. You want something to eat, you get it. You want amusement, you go to the holosuite. And if you need protection, you call Starfleet. But someday soon, you're going to have to learn to take care of yourselves. Because if I see you as helpless children, how do you think the Borg see you? Or the Romulans, or the Klingons, or the Dominion? Yep, he was right. The Romulans, see a prize we saw in Star Trek Picard, they're coming. If we don't change our ways, they're going to take it from us. This Mr. Fullerton has quite the flair for dramatic. Bashir says, does he really believe that? Jadzia says she thinks he does. the kind of hard work that built the Federation in the first place, or we can lie here napping in the sun until we wake up with Jem'Hadar guns to our heads. He's got me, I'm convinced. Actors as Bird of Prey, can you please list all the words YouTube doesn't like so we can avoid them? John DeMarco says hashtag Fullerton was right. He was. And Worf says, yeah, the Klingons would never have attacked if they didn't believe the Federation was vulnerable. Even now, most of the people continue to call for war because they think they could win. And Bashir says none of it has anything to do with Risa. Worf says can't be certain of it. Dax like, I spent lifetimes defending the Federation. She deserves a vacation. And there's Leeta, says she's Julian. She's like, I'm so glad we came here. She's having a most wonderful time. And Bashir says, I told you it's just what we needed. Worf slams down his food. He's like, is something wrong? Says, you two dishonor each other with your actions. She says, do you know what he's talking about? He says, you mean we didn't tell you why we came? We're conducting the rite of separation, an old Bajoran custom. When Bajorans separate, they spend several days celebrating the good times and to seek out new opportunities. It's a very wise and ancient culture, says Julian. She says, I don't think I've completely gotten you out of my system yet. Oh. And Julian says, I know exactly what you mean. And he says, excuse us, we have a few details to work out. They're going to go bop, shakawak, bop, bop, bop. Worf says, terminating relationships should not be taken so frivolously. The Random Menace says, what else comes to your mind, Bird of Prey? Yes, Mars will burn. Oh, now Fullerton's people got guns. And they're pulling down sheets. They're pulling down, and then turning over tables. And pulling down drapes. Jadzia says on 3. 1, 2. Worf says, wait. Says, that's enough, says Fullerton. I hope we've proved our point. And Jadzia takes the rifle. And he says, the power cells are dead. He's like, we had no intention of harming anyone. Says, you think you're safe here in this paradise. You're not safe. What if we had been Jem'Hadar, or Klingons, or Romulans? You'd be dead. Even you Starfleet officers were lulled into a false sense of security. If you could be taken unaware, what chance does the rest of us have? The sad truth is, the galaxy is a hostile place. Forget that even for a moment, and you risk losing everything. Just something to think about while you wait for your desserts. And now we'll just leave here like nothing ever happened. Because Risa won't press charges. Dax says she has the authority to arrest him. He says, we both know it's a waste of time. Risa won't press charges. They don't have the courage. He says, believe me, I wish they did. Then he asked Worf what he thought. He says he can't condone what he did. But he said, maybe not, but I believe you understand it. Actors as Bird of Prey, Republic Cake? Is that a word YouTube doesn't like? I don't know what you're trying to say. Republican? Republic Cake? Either of those I think are fine. Dan says, Bird of Prey, did we even know Bashir was dating her before this episode? I think we did. Not a lot, but I think we did. So Worf is saying some of Dax's behavior. At times, she's too impulsive. She acts without thinking. She has no self-control. Dax says, and you think you need to control me. Worf says, you're my Palmer Kai. Everything you do reflects on him. She's like, I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. Worf says, I just need to know you take it as seriously as he does. Dax says, I just wish you would let you relax a little and enjoy what we have together. Dax says, Worf, she's not going to change who she is. Worf says, and nor am I. She's like, well, at least we agree on something. Jadzia says, why don't we go to bed? Worf says, you go. He'll be there shortly. Wrong answer, Worf. Wrong answer. We do get to see some nice waterfalls. Dax says, this place looks a lot better than it did last night. Are they just fixing the table for the first time now? She's like, the essentialists are wrong about many things. What Mr. Fullerton could use is a little Jamaharan. No, a lot of Jamaharan. She said, I'd buy him a Horgan. Jadzia would buy him a Horgan herself if she thought he'd use it. And she says, he's not the only one. Looks like he used some cheering up. And Dax says, she's had better vacations. And she says she's never known a Klingon who's had such a hard time having a good time. And she's like, there's no reason you can't enjoy yourself. She's like, it's not that easy. She's like, it was for Curzon. And he says, and I can tell you have more than a little Curzon in you. He loved his planet, and the planet loved you. Or whatever. And of course, she says, all that is ours is yours to Jadzia. Captain Track is in the house. Qapla, Captain. Says, Bird of Prey, been listening, working on a project. Very cool, Captain. Okay, so Leeta and Bashir are completing the breaking up ritual, which includes smashing a plate. May the prophets guide you to the path of happiness. And it says, and may they walk with you in peace. What was one is now 2, or whatever. That's it. They're broken up officially, even though they were never married. Quark says, that's it? He's like, what were you expecting? He was expecting fireworks. Where's the anger, the vicious name-calling, the irrational accusations? He never would agree to be a witness if it was going to be so civil. He says it's disgusting. And Bashir says it was admirable. No incriminations, no hurt feelings. He never felt as good at the end of a relationship. Leeta says she agrees. Now she can finally be honest about her feelings. And she's like, it's just in the past few months, she's been thinking a lot about another man. And Quark says, oh, let me get straight. While you were still dating Julian, you were having fantasies about someone else? Leeta's like, I should rather not discuss it now. But she was like, oh, no. You better tell us who it is. You brought it up. Leeta's like, it's. She looks at Quark. Quark says, me? She's like, no, your brother, Ram. He's like, your brother, Ram? And Bashir's like, his brother, Ram? She's like, he's so cute and sexy. And they both go, cute, sexy, Ram. And Quark gives Bashir the Jamaharan, the Hortra statue. He says he needs it more than Quark does. Oh man, that is kind of tough to lose your girlfriend to Ram. The Random Menace is Bird of Prey. This separation ritual is stupid. My ex and I, we just had a breakup sex and never saw each other again. Oh, now Jadzia and her old girlfriend are playing with some mud or some clay or something, and Worf comes in on them, and Worf's angry to see them having a good time without him. Now she realizes, Worf sees the Horta statue. He's probably going to smash it. Smash that statue good, Worf. It's all the statue's fault. Yes! He threw it against the wall. It smashed into pieces. Saul Leibowitz, agent of the stars, says, Qapla, bird of prey, yes, I could not join you, 'cause there was a snake in my house. I'm glad to say that I captured the snake this morning and set him free. Congratulations, Saul. And Worf comes and seeks out Fullerton. He's like, you want to make people leave Risa. He knows a way. We can detonate biogenic explosives in the atmosphere. Oh, no. That's the different episode. And Bashir says he would have reacted the same way Worf did. He knows that the woman was Curzon's lover, not Dax's, but so Quark and Bashir both agree that Worf was right. And Bashir says, this is why I stopped chasing after her. You're too much work. And Quark says, what you need is Ferengi. She's like, maybe, but what she wants is Worf. Bashir's like, why? It's like, because he has the courage of a berserker cat and the heart of a poet. And Quark says, and the brain of a pig-headed idiot. She says, sometimes. Jadzia, the woman comes in. Nobody can find him, but they're sure he'll turn up. Quark says, no reason to wait around. He says they take something up to the hills and go skinny dipping. Oh, it's going to rain. It's thunder and lightning out. She said, I didn't think it was supposed to rain in this part of Risa. Something's wrong with the weather grid. So the extremists brought the planet's weather back to normal. Obviously, the weather grid is experiencing some type of malfunction, but she sure will be able to repair it soon. And Fullerton comes in and says, no, you won't. He says, I authorized, but it wasn't my idea. Worf says, it was mine. And Bashir says, are you serious? And Dax says, well, he's serious. What'd you do, build an uplink so you could take control of the weather of the uplink? He says, yep. He says, it'll take 3 or 4 days to restore. During 3 or 4 days, people will experience the planet's natural weather. That means rain. He says, because Quark says, why are you doing this? He says, because Fullerton says, because Rise is an illusion created by weather machines and seismic things and whatever. We got to stop playing with toys if the Federation's going to survive and go back to the essentials. And the Riser woman says, she's beginning to think there's no hope for that man or for you either, Mr. Worf. Bashir says, Commander, with all due respect, are you out of your mind? Worf says, you'll find me quite rational. Dax says, this is wrong. He says, I disagree. If Federation citizens can't handle a little bad weather, how would they handle a Dominion invasion? Well, not very well. Horgon statue. Thank you. Random Menace. Quark says he's seen drier days on Ferenginar, and they have 178 words for rain. She's like, if you're so upset, take your Horgon and go find some company. He said, if you take a look at the Horizons, they're even more depressed. She's trying to make a game of whatever. Hoverball. He says in the rain on an indoor court. She says, Dax is the only one who's playing. She's like, that makes one. She's never heard so much complaining in her life. It's not just the weather. People are starting to complain about everything. The room, the entertainment, the food. Dax says, what's wrong with the food? Nothing that she can tell. The guests say it doesn't taste right. Quark says it's the humidity. It dampens the food, makes everything mushy. There's no word for crisp on Ferenginar. She's like, maybe Mr. Fullerton was right. Maybe we have forgotten how to deal with adversity. Certainly looks like it. I mean, I'm not saying what they did was right, but it certainly looks like it. Worf says, you can be sure the guests who stayed are taking what you said seriously. So Worf is going to leave. Fullerton says, you're leaving. Worf said his head is full of Risa. He says, you've been an inspiration to us all, says Fullerton. And he asked the blue guy if he still has the uplink to the weather control. Said, by tomorrow, the weather grid will be restored to normal, and no one will remember this ever happened. But he intends to send a message. They won't forget. And he's using the uplink to do something else. Nefarious plans. Dax comes in and says, you must be feeling good. The weather's terrible, the guests are miserable, and more people are leaving Risa every day. Worf says their response just proves his point. She says, I see. Ruin the vacations of a few 100,000 people to bolster the moral fiber of the Federation. Worf says he doesn't expect her to understand. Dax says she understands even better than he does. Says what you did had nothing to do with Risa or the Essentialists or the Federation. It's about you and me. Worf turns around. He says, you give yourself far too much credit. You're so vain, you think this mission is about you. She says, you think I'm frivolous, I care more about pleasure than I do commitment. She's like, well, what do you think is going on between me and Narandus? He's like, you know what I think. She's like, that's right, I do. And you're wrong. Did it occur to you to ask about it? Or trust just a little? That a Klingon woman would not have given their grounds for suspicion. He's like, how would you know? Curzon spent more time with Klingons than you ever did. He says, you may have lived among my people, but you are not a Klingon, I am. She says, maybe so, but you're not like any Klingon I've ever met. She's like, what happened to you, Worf? You're a paragon of Klingon honor and discipline. But when it comes to the Klingon passion for life, the exuberance, the enjoyment of the moment, you're constantly holding yourself back. Why? Worf says, that's not the issue here. Dax's like, I think it is. He's antisocial. He doesn't wish to lose her. So she says, then talk to me, please. Says, you know, from the age of 7, he was raised by humans. It was a sparsely populated world, no more than 20,000 inhabitants. It often seemed everyone knew everybody else. But one thing was certain. Everybody knew him. He was the Klingon child. The uncontrollable one. The biggest, the strongest, the most fearless child on the entire planet. He fought hard, played hard, and did as he pleased. She's like, what changed? When he was 13, he was captain of the soccer team. They made the championships. He was determined to win. Near the end of the second half with the score tied. They got a kick. The ball sailed up high. Both him and one of the opponents leapt up to headbutt the ball. The human opponent had position, but Worf was determined to score. He remembered laughing with excitement as he threw himself at him. Jack says, go on. The next thing he knew, the ball was sailing into their goal. He roared with triumph. He turned around to Mikhail to gloat, only to find him laying in the grass bleeding. Our heads had collided when they went for the ball. He didn't feel the impact, but he had broken his neck. He died the next day. Worf killed the kid. Worf straight up killed the kid. She's like, it was an accident. He's like, it only makes it worse compared to Klingons. Humans are fragile. He realized at that time, to live among them, he must practice restraint. She said it must have been difficult. He said at first. In time, it became part of who he was, part of who he is. She's like, and you're still afraid if you lose control. Someone he cares about might get hurt. Ah, poor Worf. Dax says that explains a lot. But you have to realize there's some things in life you can't control. And one of them is Dax. But you can trust her. She cares about her. And I'll never do anything to hurt you. He says, nor would I do anything to hurt you. She's like, who knows? I may have more self-control than you give me credit for. Oh no, there's an earthquake. Yep. The Essentialists. They've turned on their earthquake machine. Oh. The party's over. Increase the tectonic stress regulators. He's like, if you do, there won't be a building left standing. He's at least let's get out of this room. Head to the spaceports. Fullerton says, I think our work is done. Worf comes back and says, the uplink, give it to me. He says, I suggest you all get off this planet as soon as possible. He has no wish to see you or the friends harmed. Dax says, give us the uplink. The only person to be harmed is you. Worf demands it over. Fullerton says, I thought you were one of us. Worf says, perhaps I was for a time. But I believe the Federation will defeat people like you. He said, don't you see that people without lack self-control, they'll destroy everything. And you'll be responsible. And Worf says, you are saying you have to control the traditional Federation values. Worf agrees, and one of those values is trust. It's essential we remember that. And Fullerton says, don't you walk away from me, and punches Worf in the face. And Worf picks the guy up by the shirt and says, I'll do as I please, and throws him across the room, in no way risking physical injury. Worf says, I'm on vacation to Dax. Rock Solid says, I'm sorry. Is Worf talking? I'm busy admiring Jadzia. Actors is bird of prey. By the time we invent a real weather control for people, will be brainwashed to think of them as evil, like nuclear energy. Absolutely. So now they can't wait to go home. She says she hopes the two of them enjoy Risa and would come again. Worf says, I didn't think I'd be welcome. And the other lady says she never got a chance to say goodbye to Curzon. She's like, and you're not saying goodbye to me either. I'll be back. She's like, and Risa will be waiting. Actors is bird of prey. I read that. John Street's bird of prey wasn't the plot of this episode. Was all for Worf and Dax to get closer. So Dax says, why don't we go swimming? Worf says, I didn't bring a bathing suit. Jadzia says, I won't tell if you don't. As they look around. And Worf starts to take off his clothing. End of episode. Dun 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 dun. Associate producer Terry Potts. So this episode was directed by René Auberjonois, who's also Odo. That's why he wasn't in the episode much, I assume. Like I said, this is far from one of my favorite episodes, but it's a decent episode. I think it was a bit out of character. I think the whole, we can get away with sabotaging an entire planet's weather grid and nobody's going to even arrest us. Nobody's going to press charges. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Hell, the fact that it can be hacked so easily, that this was even possible really, really, really just shows how, hell, the Dominion doesn't have to attack Risa. Dominion just has to upload a virus to its weather control, and it can make the whole planet create earthquakes and, tsunamis and just kill everyone on the planet. Like stuff like that made little sense. That said, it was a very fun episode. We got to see Leeta. We got to see Leeta confess her love for Rom, even though Rom wasn't there. We got some funny moments with Quark and Bashir, Dax and Worf, Dax and her former lover, the woman who killed Curzon, even though that's a completely different story than what we saw earlier on Curzon. It was designed to be a fun episode. Honestly, I felt like I saw a lot of myself in Worf. Like I would be the party pooper. I probably would. I kind of feel bad. Not totally. Because I'll be honest, I think he had some valid points. Now, it's not the time or the place to do what he did, but clearly with the war going on with the Klingons and war around the corner with the Dominion and war with the Borg at any point could come at any time, it's probably that the Federation should probably be on some type of, system-wide yellow alert. And maybe, planets like Risa need to have extra security. I don't know. He probably making some sense, but it is what it is. Not one of the best episodes. Ira Steven Behr did write part of it, at least. He shared credit with someone else on the writing. Ira Steven Behr and Robert Hewitt Wolfe. I don't know who Robert Hewitt Wolfe is offhand, but not one of the best. Ira Steven Behr. I know he's the big guy, the head of the showrunner, if you will, but at this point in time, this was not one of the better episodes. I'd say it's right in the middle. It's right. It'd be really hard to say if this was above 50 or below 50%. This is like right on the mean, the 50% average mark for DS9 episodes. Random Menace says, mental note taken, never invite Bird of Prey to any fun activities, basically. Certainly don't give me a weather uplink if you do. And John DeMarco says, Robert Hewitt Wolfe was one of the regular DS9 writers. Okay, well then that makes sense. This was an in-house script. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. This will conclude DS9 Wednesday. Tomorrow we'll be doing some Open Lines Thursday. I'll be playing some game, likely Call of Duty Warzone. I've somewhat improved my game by going to the controller. Because, as much as I like the mouse and keyboard, it clearly clearly wasn't working for me. I've got the controller set up, and I had games with 1, even 2, almost. I think I had a game with 3 kills already, which seems like a low amount of kills, but that's 1, 2, and 3 more kills than I've averaged with the mouse and keyboard over the last couple weeks. So it's something. I'm still getting used to the controller. Rox Odds' Bird of Prey skipping chats. Rox Odds' Bird of Prey, Jadzia won't be back. Having Ducat. She'll be back, just not at the end. Just not at the end. So I think that's all the chat. So thank you all. Qapla and Bird out. I'll see you guys if anyone else streams later. Take care. Josh reads, it's a good thing Risa didn't buy their weather controls from Kuroga, just like Cobra did with the weather dominator Kuroga makes. Have a good evening, all, says John DeMarco. Take care, John. Qapla all, Bird out. Thank you all for watching my video. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon. Without it, you won't get notifications of new videos. Check out BirdoPrey5.com, the new home of everything BirdoPrey5 on the web. You can also check out my forum at juot.net. I'm also on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Gab. If you'd like to make a donation, check out paypal.me/BirdoPrey5 or on BirdoPrey5.com. Take care. Thank you, the Random Menace. 8 months in a row now, a friend of Kuroga.